Zoom. Just a heads up, we will probably wrap Coach up 3:05, 3:10 or so we can then bring in our Director of Athletics, Neff, to chat with you all. We'll have a hard out in here about 3:30 or so. That way we can get the room turned around for a 3:45 team meeting. So appreciate y'all's help with that. And with all that said, I'll turn it over to Coach Swinney.
All right, appreciate that, Ross. Well, been a great day for us. This has been a little more action for us today than maybe we've had the last few years. Certainly signed half our class in December and the rest today. But it's been a fun day, celebrating another really good group for us. We signed 12 guys in December. As you know, 9 of those guys are mid-years. They're off to a great start. Really been enjoyed, and it's been fun to just kind of see them get acclimated and with their transition in all areas of the program and school and all that stuff, and really seem to be doing very well. Today, we're gonna, we still got. I think we got a decision being made at 4:30. So we got one more out there, but plan to sign 8 to 9 more today, and so should put our class in that 20 to 21 range, which really is just what we needed, to address our needs. Also going to add 11 really, really good walk-on players that I think all have the potential to help us and contribute to our team. But as always, time will tell. But I do believe this group will be another special group that will help us continue to be a great program on and off the field and everything that we do. And help us to continue to be consistent in everything that we do. But, every year when we go recruit, we always have specific needs and objectives, and it's always a process, and there's lots of twists and turns as you go through the recruiting process every single year, always has been. Man, we get the guys we're supposed to get, and thankful for that. But the objective is to add talent and depth to your roster. It's always, critical to fill the specific needs that you have, and I think this class has been able to do that. And we've done it with a group of really great young people that I think just happen to be good football players, and, man, a lot of great families. That's the other thing that never really gets talked about a lot, because when you're recruiting these kids, it's not just the kid that's coming into your program. The families are coming with them. And we got a lot of great families that are joining the Clemson family, and we're excited about that. As I said this morning, it was a lot of fun to get back on the road. It was had to kind of get back in rhythm a little bit because it's been so long since we've been in the grind of in and out of schools and homes and planes, trains, and automobiles. But it was a lot of fun, December and January to get back in the fray and reconnect with a lot of coaches. And I think the staff just did an amazing job of finishing our 22 class. But I really like where we are in 23 and the momentum that we've been able to get going and just being kind of on the front end of a bunch of guys and establishing the connections and relationships that you have to have. So really fun time the last couple months. 10 states represent this class, and so again, just I think our brand continues to be strong and attract interest from all over the country. But certainly we do everything here, from the inside out, and started right here in the state of South Carolina this year. This was a great year for us in the state of South Carolina, and it's not often that you have the amount of numbers that we had this year in our state. So to be able to have the success that we had, certainly critical for us. But we signed 2 quarterbacks, running back, 2 offensive linemen, a tight end, 3 receivers, 2 defensive linemen. It'll be 2 to 3 linebackers, depending on what happens today. A couple of safeties, 3 corners, a kicker, and a punter. So we really kind of touched all the bases that we needed to touch in this class for sure. 9 offensive guys, 2 specialists, and then it'll be either 9 or 10 defensive guys when the day comes to an end. But again, thankful for all the young men. It's always a blessing when you got the type of guys that we recruit who all have different opportunities and I appreciate their families, but especially our staff as well. I mean, there was a lot of hard work that went into this class, especially when you have the amount of transition that we had this year. But they did an amazing job. And as far as our staff goes, I know we got a lot of different roles and guys being promoted and different responsibilities, new people coming in. It's been a lot of fun, and everybody's gotten settled in. I really am thankful that we had, the bowl game to kind of get in the fray a little bit with some game day stuff with our staff, and then obviously since the bowl game we've had kind of getting everybody settled in the right spots, bringing Nick in here. What a great addition he is for us, and transitioning with Thomas and Robbie. So the staff's in a good spot. I really like the roles and how we are settled in and ready to go. And we are just kind of put on y'all's radar. We do have one more change, I guess, that's going to be coming. It's kind of bittersweet. It's good. It's there's nothing bad about it, but it's always bittersweet when there's transition. But Danny Poole, who most of y'all know, Danny has been at Clemson for almost 40 years, and I have been with Danny for 19 years, 19 of those years, and he's been our trainer, and I guess he's been the head trainer here for about 22 years. And, man, I'm so thankful and appreciative of him. But he's made the decision that this is the time to kind of transition. He's retiring from being the full-time trainer, but he still wants to serve Clemson. He's still going to transition into a different role for Graham and our football and athletic department in general. But I'm happy for him. I mean, we've got a lot of construction going on under there, and I think he's in a good spot and really feels like this is the right time, to transition. So, but I will say this, man, I'm thankful for Danny Poole, and I'm thankful for Beth because she's allowed him to. I mean, you can't appreciate the job of a trainer until you see it up close day in and day out. I mean, it's a thankless job. Anytime somebody goes to the training room, they're not happy because they're hurt or they're rehabbing or whatever. And it's just a really tough. And I will say this: you don't win the amount of games that we've won around here without having great effort and a great team downstairs. So, man, Danny Poole is I'm glad he's staying. I'm glad that he's not ready to quite go to the beach or to the golf course. So I'm thankful that he's going to still be here to whoever. I know this job's going to attract a lot of really great people. So whoever that person is, I know that he'll be a great resource for us and help in that area. But he's excited about serving the university and seeing what's next in a different capacity, and but also transitioning from that day-to-day grind of being the full-time trainer. And so thankful for Danny Poole and Beth, and again, excited about him continuing on for us. So that I guess is the last couple days, I guess, and so I know Graham will be posting that at some point, and look forward to the candidates that apply, and we'll see what happens there. But excited to get started with this group and this team. So it's been a long couple months, but been a lot of fun. And man, we got those 9 mid-years here, and getting them up and rolling is a lot of fun. We're going to be on the field next Wednesday, so that'll be our first opportunity to truly get on the field. We're going to have a team meeting this afternoon, and really, kind of give them some good direction as we're really rolling into our strength and conditioning program. We've got our accountability teams going and all that stuff, and just got to set the tone for the next few weeks between now and mat drills starting next Wednesday, and then spring practice March 2nd, literally 4 weeks from today. So it's going to be a lot of fun with all the guys that are back. Obviously, y'all have seen the roster as far as who's back, from Xavier Thomas and KJ and Tyler Davis and and all those guys. I mean, it's really exciting. We're going to have a great team. We've got a lot of guys going through rehabs, and we've had a bunch of surgeries and things like that. I'm not 100% sure yet. We'll have some guys that will be out for spring. We'll have some that'll be limited, and some that we'll just manage. We'll talk more about that later on as we get closer to it and got a better feel for where they are. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll take a little break for kind of a little long extended weekend here with the staff, and then we're going to get back at it. New team, new journey, and a new year. So in the process with all of our support staff of really grinding through all of our quality control, and getting ready for our all-in drills, and again getting prepared with what we got to do staff-wise and team-wise this spring. So spring game's April 9th, if y'all haven't heard that already, and I look forward to having a great day in the Valley. I know y'all have seen the schedule. We're excited about that as well. It's going to be it's always fun to kind of see it and start visualizing, mapping out a plan mentally of how we're going to get ready. And so the team will be excited. We'll talk a little bit about that this afternoon, and then again hit the field next Wednesday. With that, I'll take your questions.
How long did it take you to decide on Tyler once Todd announced he was leaving as the recruiting coordinator?
Oh, it was easy. It was an easy transition. He's more than ready, and I've been able to, be in enough meetings with him, and on the road and in different settings and things like that. He was more than ready to be that on the field liaison guy that you got to have. You got to have somebody to kind of be that liaison for the whole. We got a whole department, but somebody's got to tie it together from the coach standpoint to make sure we got it all the I's dotted and T's crossed. He's great.
What can you say about Robbie Caldwell's transition to?
Yeah, he's already made us better. I just Robbie's a worker. Like Robbie he's a guy that looks for work every single day. Every single day he looks for work. He's going to really, really be great in this role. He's already, reached out to. He's kind of going state by state from a recruiting standpoint and what he's trying to do there. So he's going to be excellent from a high school relations standpoint, working in recruiting, and then he'll be doing a lot of scouting and evaluation as well. And then obviously once we get into the season, he'll have a lot of football roles, within the self-scout, the crossover study, the opponent study, and so he's going to be a great resource for us, but a good opportunity for him, and again, good time for him. I guess he's 60-something up there, and so it's been good. It's been fun, and something we knew was coming, and I'm thankful that he was able to, really finish this year, the way he wanted to, and to see those guys, play so hard for him. And again, to have a veteran leader like him with a year that was just insane from what we had to manage, especially up front. He was a true pro in how he handled everything. So just super excited. So he's settled in his new role and in his office, and we've got everybody's kind of moved around and situated and up and running. But Robbie's gonna really help us.
Who do you think his appealing personality appeals to more, the student athletes or the families, the parents?
All of the above. Robbie's a relational guy. That's why he's had such longevity in this business. Just like Dan Brooks was. Dan Brooks. That guy. He could recruit with anybody. Everybody loved Dan Brooks, and it's the same thing with Robbie. He just has long relationships, and he can talk to anybody, he can communicate well, but he's got great relationships with all these coaches, and it's just a huge resource for us to be able to, put him in a little different role where he can really focus on the bigger picture, as opposed to just, a segment of the program.
Coach, how did everything kind of transpire with Hunter Johnson's return, and how have you seen him grown as a person and player since he's last year?
As I said this morning, just kind of God's favor. That's all I can say. That's the only way I can describe it. He called me. He wants to coach, and so he's done at Northwestern, got his master's and all that stuff, and he's just wanting to come to Clemson and get his MBA, and wanting to know if he could, help coach, help be a student, intern or student helper while he's getting his MBA. And of course, I'm like, heck yeah, man. I mean, are you kidding me? This would be awesome. He's so excited. I mean, he loves Clemson. We've always stayed in touch. He loves Clemson, and his girlfriend was here as well. And but he's so it was just kind of a conversation. I just literally just kind of was kidding with him. I was like, hey, you better watch out. We might have to pull a Zeb Nolan and throw you in the game. Put the student coach in the. I just kind of made a joke, and he said, well, actually, I do have another year, and I'm like, what? I'm like, how in the world could you have another year? And literally, that was my answer. And he said, well, I got my COVID year. And I started thinking, I was like, holy cow! I mean, that is crazy. So that's kind of how we got to that point, and so it worked out. I mean, he's excited about it. He really, he's very mature. He's got a great perspective. I mean, heck, he may lead us to a national championship. I have no idea, but he's coming in here to be a servant leader. He's coming in here to bring a veteran, experienced mentality and give us some experience depth that we don't have. We've got one guy that's played. So here's a guy that's played 5 years of college football. He's been through a lot, adversity, surgery. He's had all kind of stuff that he's dealt with. But he's just an awesome young man. He's very mature, and he'll work as hard as anybody. He'll be as prepared as anybody. And so it just brings it's not rare. It's very rare you're going to find somebody that will come in here with that type of mindset, and so it's exciting. I think he's going to be great for DJ and for Cade, and from a leadership standpoint, and so that's kind of how it all came about, and then it allowed us to pay for his MBA.
Dabo, NIL, a lot of the coaches have commented, mostly negatively the last few days about that. Did that help you in this recruiting cycle? Did you have things you didn't like about it? And also, in-house here, do you have an NIL expert person that kind of helps with that? And if so, who is that?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it helped us. I mean, we're never going to recruit leading with NIL. That's an opportunity. We certainly have the opportunity to help anybody that wants to participate and use their name, image, likeness however they want to. But, we always lead with who we are as a program, the purpose of this program. And, I don't think many people are going to come here, or at least I hope they don't, because of the NIL. I hope they come here because this is the university they want to be a part of, the program they want to be a part of, the people they want to be a part of. And so, it really wasn't a factor either way. I think we've got a huge team in place here. I mean, we're probably one of the few places that is actually building a facility. In fact, you are going to see the construction start, I guess, probably next week on our new facility that's going outside the weight room here. And so we're going to have just like we built Paul Journey, a living, breathing space. We're going to have a living, breathing space for, to help our players navigate this landscape that's out there, because at the end of the day, that's our responsibility. It doesn't matter what your opinion is. The rules are the rules, and our job is to make sure we equip them and we help them navigate any opportunities, maximize this opportunity, and that's what we've been doing. That's what we're trying to do moving forward. And we've got a team right now. Is what we have set up. We've got a really good team. Of people that are, we have somebody designated from the university standpoint for the whole athletic department, and then we have a little team that's dedicated to that as well. And a great, when we do visits and things like that, and kids come in here, that's a part of our process, but it's nowhere near like we're not coming out of the door. Oh, hey, here you go. Like. That's just one of the things we cover, just like the training room, just like the strength and conditioning, just like nutrition, just like dining, just like the business school, whatever it is. So we've got a great presentation and a great approach to that. It's been really good for us. And again, our responsibility is to help them maximize it. And at the end of the day, 98% of these guys aren't going to play pro sports. So they have a short window. We need to help them maximize, whatever opportunity they have, but we got to do it in a way that keeps them focused on the long-term value of education and their relationships and career development and all that stuff. But yet, let's maximize this opportunity too. And so that's what we've got in place, and we're building the space. And we are, it's probably here between now and summer. We are going to hire one person, for football that will be kind of we've got all the spokes, if you will, but kind of that cog in the wheel. So we've got a great plan. We've got some really good opportunities for our current team and our future team. And there'll be things that'll be said, publicly at the right time. But no, man, we're in a good place, and it's not something that's been a factor with us this year in recruiting.
But do you have any long-term concerns about the impact that NIL might have in recruiting?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anytime I think there's a lot of good intentions with the NIL. But I think anytime you do something, there's always unintended consequences. And there will be some unintended consequences. And I think, the way it's being used in some areas right now is not what it was intended for. But again, I think everybody's figuring it out. It'll all settle out. And I do think that there are some pitfalls that as adults and as teachers, we got to do a great job with the young people that we've been entrusted with to help them. Because I can see a lot of young people making decisions for the wrong reasons and maybe getting distracted, again, by short-term money, because it's very short-term, and sacrifice the long-term. So I think there's a balance there, and that's where I think everybody has a responsibility to help them.
Yeah, but you guys signed some guys with Clemson ties already and some younger brothers. Just what did you like about those families and those prospects, and what did you like them bring to the program?
Yeah, you talking about Cole and Kobe? Cole's, and Jahiem, Cole's just, it's just amazing, kind of to be honest with you, how that all came about. All I can tell you is just kind of a God thing, because that's exactly how it happened for Nolan, because we weren't recruiting Nolan. And y'all remember after that national championship game in 15, and, Travis and McKenzie and J. Ron and T.J. Green left, and I have to assume they're coming back, because if you don't assume they're coming back and you go recruit people, then and then they come back, now you got to tell somebody they got to go or they can't come. And we don't operate that way here. So, all of a sudden you got to go recruit. And y'all remember the story of Nolan. I'd offered him a walk-on spot a long time ago. And next thing you know, we're scrambling. And we went and got Isaiah. We went and got Trayvon. We got Kayvon. And then we got Nolan. And I just said, man, I'm going to go back and watch his tape. And when I watched his tape, I was like, let me get an unbiased opinion here. And I took it down to Brent, and Brent was like, who the heck is this guy? Where's he at? And it was his exact reaction. I'm like, that's all I need to know. And the rest is history. It was only offer. And this kid's getting ready to go to the NFL. He's been a great player for us, a great leader. He'll be a D coordinator one day. He wants to coach when he's done playing. And then Cole, he was a basketball player. I've known Cole forever, but he was a basketball player, literally. And he didn't play football. And then all of a sudden, his junior year, I guess they talked him into coming out and playing football. And he's playing at Vestavia. And at that point, they'd been running that dang option forever, for 50 years. And so he was just kind of a wing guy, just a good athlete. So not on anybody's radar. And then they had a new coach come in this year and went to the spread. It was actually Kevin Swint's coach from Carrollton, and they went to the spread. And next thing you know, I'm getting a text from Raymond, his granddaddy, saying, hey, you might want to watch this kid. And I started watching him, and I actually talked to him back in November and I said, hey, I'm just going to try to keep you under the radar here for a little while if I can, because I knew if people watched his tape, he was going to get a lot of opportunity, and that's kind of what happened. I mean, he had he had a lot of people, from Notre Dame to other schools reaching out to him as his name got out there and people started watching him. But he's a faster, bigger athlete than Nolan, and Nolan kills him when he hears me say that. But he's twitchy, he's long, he's got great ball skills. He's a big-time athlete. He's a big-time basketball player. I mean, this kid, they got a good chance to win the state up there. He's played at the highest level in Alabama and was dominant. And again, this was his first year to play receiver and just blew it up. A great punt returner, great kick returner. Got thrown just like Nolan, throw his butt in the weight room for a year. But I think he's got high-end potential. So just a very, very fortunate to get a guy like that. And then Kobe. Obviously, we've known the McClouds forever. I've known Kobe forever, and same thing. Just kind of chance that it all worked out the way it did. Kobe, Big Ray reached out to me, and I don't know, maybe early November, I guess, because we were kind of locked in. We had guys committed, and we were kind of done, and we had 2 other offers out there: a kid in Florida and a kid in Alabama, and we're just going to take one more guy, and we felt good about where we were. But he wanted to get just a true evaluation of Kobe. So, I told Brent, I said, hey, give me a good evaluation on what you think, because I want to try to give him some good direction here on because he'd committed early, and his recruiting had picked up, and he was trying to figure out which way to go. And so Big Ray wanted to give him the right advice. So I sent it to Brent. Brent wrote up a great eval on him and really liked him a lot. And that, if we didn't get one of those guys, that he's like, this guy can play. And so anyway, forgot about it, sent it on, went about our business. And then, we have signing day and we do our thing. And next thing you know, I'm watching the Steelers game, and Ray had a big game. I just happened to text Ray, and and they both hit me back, but Ray hit me back. And I said, hey, where'd Kobe end up signing? Conversation, and he said, well, he actually decided not to sign because they just had a lot of things come their way, and they didn't really know what they wanted to do, so they were going to take January to kind of figure it out. And that was the story on a lot. It's going to be more and more the story, to be honest with you, because there's not many high school kids getting recruited. There's a lot. In fact, a couple years ago, a lot of these guys that we just signed, they wouldn't be here to sign. So, it's good and bad. It's good that there's a bigger pool of high school kids to recruit, but it's bad because you got a lot of high school kids that are not getting the opportunities that they got a couple years ago. And you got a lot of them that are having to go mid-year too, whether they want to or not, because you have 2 good players. This kid can come in the summer, this kid can come in January, and so it kind of forces the portal. So that's how it came about. And when he said he didn't sign, I was like, I went back and watched his tape again, and I sent it to Wes, and Wes's response was exactly the same. He's, and he was blown away by him. He's a really good player. He's as y'all know, a football family. His brother's at Arizona. Ray's with the Steelers, and I mean, he's a tough kid. He's a really, really good kid. Great family. So just kind of neat how that worked out. And then Jahiem, I've watched Jahiem from his whole life. He and Clay Jahiem has spent many nights at my house. He and Clay have played ball together their entire life in about everything. So I've known him well, and I'm really, really proud of him. I challenged him last year because I just felt like, he was good enough, but I told him he's going to have to earn it. And, there were some things that I wanted to see in him, and, man, he did it. And I'm just really proud of him in his development. I mean, he was a dominant player this year. He dominated every game, and I saw every game but one. He dominated, and he dominated the playoffs. He goes and dominates the All-Star game. I mean, he's a really, really good prospect. Same thing, though. He's got to get his butt in the weight room. He's twitchy. He's got some violent hands. He's a great effort guy. He's instinctive. He's much more refined than Shaq was, coming out. Obviously, just simply because of he's had an example for a long time, and so he's got a chance. He's got a chance to be he'll be a true edge guy. So he's got a chance to be a good player if he'll continue to put the work in. But it's always fun when you've got those type of relationships. This is a relationship world. It's a relationship business, and that's an example of good relationships. But also, it speaks to how those that came before them and their experiences that they had, and the trust and the families and all this type of stuff as well.
With Myles Oliver, obviously probably COVID and the transfer portal hurt his recruitment. How attractive is that track background that he has, and then what do you like just about what he brings to the table? Yeah,
definitely. COVID, wasn't able to get to a lot of places, and then his track situation. He can fly. This morning I was kind of comparing him to a Cody Sensabaugh. I mean, just he's a little thicker. Cody was very frail when he got here. This kid's put together more than Cody, but he's got a similar body. I think he's got similar upside, and he is fast and an awesome kid. And I hate to compare it, but you kind of get into that as a coach when you've done it for so long, and that's kind of how I evaluate him. I mean, I think he's exactly what we needed. We needed another guy at corner, and I think Mike did an awesome job, just identifying, evaluating, and then, sure enough, everybody kind of came in there, but he's going to be a good one for us.
Would you say Caden Story was more of a need, or was just an opportunity to present itself as a pick?
Yeah, well, D linemen are always a need, but with everybody coming back, I think he's a guy that maybe doesn't come in and start. He's probably not Brian Brzee the day he gets here, but he's got a chance to be a great player. I kind of see him as a little taller DJ Reader. He's that sneaky, athletic, going to be big man. He can play basketball. DJ is a great athlete and didn't really always get the credit for that. I mean, baseball, he could do it all. And this kid's the same way. His dad's the head coach. He's a football guy. His dad was a great player. His dad was a multi-sport player at Jacksonville State. Mom's an athlete. Brother is at Alabama. I mean, he's got another brother that played college ball as well. I mean, just a small town Friday Night Lights football place, and he's just got this mentality that you can't teach. It's just been instilled in him, and I mean, he is a big kid that can absolutely move. Y'all see him play basketball. He's got handles. I mean, he's got great feet. He's soft around the rim. I mean, he's just a really, really good big athlete. So to get a guy like him in this class is going to pay off for us big time, because we're getting ready to have a bunch of guys. We got a great group. This has got a chance to be, as good as we've ever had in this defensive line if they will work and do what they need to do to play and perform at the level they're capable of. But we're going to have a little more depth than maybe we had in 18. I think frontline guys, we got some similarities, but this group's got a chance to have deeper depth, deeper experience depth. And so this kid coming in and have the opportunity to learn from Brian and learn from Tyler and Rook and those guys, he's a big get for us, for sure.
Dabo, what was your reaction to Todd Bates' departure, especially so soon after he had just gotten that new contract with you guys?
Yeah, he just, it just was an opportunity for a promotion for him. I mean, he really, he felt like this was the opportunity to be a part of the coordinating of it, and which is what he wanted to do. So, I mean, that's just kind of the business, and it's all good. Nothing. I mean, it's all good. Good for him, and happy for Brent, and like I said, now, we got Nick. So I mean, it's good all the way around. Everybody's in a good spot, but like as I've said many times, I mean, Todd did a great job for us. I mean, I gave him an opportunity to come in here. I mean, at that time, he had only coached JUCO and high school and 1AA. And I gave him a chance to come in here and coach Dexter and Christian. And so I gave him an opportunity, but he took advantage of the opportunity and did a great job. And that's why he got promoted. That's why he kept going. And that's why he's got this opportunity. And that's why I said, I think Todd will have a chance to be a head coach. soon. I mean, he's really gifted, and he did a great job. And and that's one of the reasons Brent, was giving him this opportunity. So for him, he felt like this was the next step for him. That's really all there is to it. But thankful that we were able to bring Nick in here. It was exactly what I was looking for with this hire. When I hired Todd, Dan Brooks had been here a long time. It was amazing. I really wanted I wanted a really young, hungry guy, and that's what Todd Bates brought. With this hire and the makeup of our roster, I really wanted a guy that had a lot of pro experience, and Nick brought all that. I mean, Nick's played 10 years, coached 8 or 9 years, Super Bowl champ. I mean, he's got more pro experience in college, but he really loves college. I mean, he's a mentor. He's a teacher. He's a guy that really loves impacting young people's lives. And so it's been awesome from literally the moment he said, I'm coming. He has been amazing in how he's already developed relationships with these players on the team, with the recruits, et cetera, for this class and next year as well.
Got about 2 more minutes if you want to take one more.
What does Keith Adams Jr. bring to running back room, and are y'all happy with the depth at that position right now?
Yeah, he's tough. He's physical. He's tough. He's a finisher. He scores a lot of touchdowns. He did that in Georgia, and he goes out to Utah, and I think he led the state out there. So he's got a mentality, and I love his spirit. I mean, as I said this morning, he kind of plays running back like his dad played linebacker, just relentless, and a high motor. So I think, we're in a great spot, and it's one of those things. This you have years like this where you got 2 elite freshmen and an elite sophomore. It's hard sometimes on the recruiting trail because these kids, they're not dumb. They know. All right, you're gonna have to be a little more patient here with that type of group. So man, it was a blessing to get a guy like Keith to come in this class. And so we like the 4 that we got. We've got a couple of really good high-end walk-ons that we are excited about as well. And then hopefully we'll be in good shape. But there's only one ball, and we feel like those 3, that'll be kind of a 3-headed monster for us. And then we'll hopefully be able to bring Keith along as we go throughout the year.
All right, we'll wrap up, Coach. Be joined now by our Director of Athletics, Graham Neff.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
No, I was underdressed.
Good luck.
No.
Got it? All right, see you.
Afternoon. Jeff, do you have any comments to start, or am I just rolling?
No, I just appreciate everybody being here today. Just a reminder, we'll go till about 3:30. We've got a hard stop right at 3:30, so we'll take last question right around then. Obviously a lot going on today, but thank you all very much for being with us today, and I'll turn it over to Graham for an opening statement.
Thank you, Jeff. Newsy day here. Really a special moment for me right now, let alone certainly the transition, but just to be in front of you all. Golly, it'll be 9 years for Chris and I here at Clemson next month, in just about a month. And so count a lot of you all as colleagues, certainly friends, and for me to be wearing a different name tag here, certainly a professional dream of mine and goal, let alone being here at Clemson. And so now to be able to speak from a different dais, literally, with you all and how that looks to continue in a great cadence with you all, just really humbled and appreciative and excited in all those words. And it's really been a month since worked through the process, and President Clemens and the board was able to appoint this role. And so it has been there's been a lot going on in a number of different sets. So I plan to touch on some of those here, of course, in any discussions. But really, just as I've gotten settled over the past couple months or past couple weeks, there's definitely been the balance. And I've gotten the question a lot of, gosh, you feel the stress, or you up at night, those type of things, versus the just the familiarity of Clemson. And so it's certainly one of those for a testament to Dan. And the opportunity, certainly him bringing me here, and you all know I know Dan back to my Atlanta and Georgia Tech days, and probably had a pretty good sense of how closely Dan and I worked together and were personally. And so there's definitely been those moments over the past month where it's been here, done that, and been very comfortable and familiar in settings, whether that's with President's Cabinet or Board of Trustees, formal meetings where we're hiring coaches, heavy decisions, with staff and certainly our group of head coaches and staff and student athletes. So it's definitely been that balance of the newness of the role and literally moving down the hallway, so to speak, but then also just the comfort and familiarity of Clemson and Clemson that I know and have experienced, and again, the experience that Dan's afforded me with that. So that balance has been really cool and exciting for it to continue to evolve. The one last thing maybe from a transitional look back, and there's certainly been a lot of memorable moments over the past couple months, certainly the past month, with a transition and understanding and being with Dan as he was evaluating different opportunities. But one of the things that I try to hold close is certainly the reverence for this position. It's a big time job, and Clemson college athletics is a big time business, and Clemson is a big time brand within. And so I recognize maybe the weight, if that's a decent word, that comes with this role and the decisions that need to be made and the leadership that needs to be instilled, and how that fits at Clemson, and the need to keep Clemson. And I think back to the phrase of you stand on the shoulders of before you, and so certainly Dan and the 9 years that he and I have worked together, carried on before that. And his successful tenure here, and him hiring the guy that was just up here, of course, and what that's meant for his legacy, and Bobby Robinson. And so have certainly got to know and spent a lot of time with Bobby and carried on over the 9 years that I've been here. And so really cool the week of Christmas when the position was finalized, but before it was announced. So there was a couple of days of working through a process and some of the paperwork. I called Bobby and just want to have a conversation with him and just to make that connection point. He's always been so gracious with his time. He just lives downtown, of course, and he's always will probably walk by the office and always happy to pop in when needed, and I'll certainly lean on that. And same, I called Terry Don, didn't get him. I talked to Trish, but then really the next day when the announcement was made and the board approved, on my drive home, Terry Don actually lives in my neighborhood, and so I stopped by. But before I got home and hugged Kristen, I stopped by and saw Terry Don, and just sat with him, and he was just kind of out and about and sat down and welcomed me in as he always has done, and I hope always would continue to, or I'll lean on him. And so I just think that's really unique and uncommon about Clemson and maybe this role at Clemson, again, with some of that lineage and the resources that it provides, and hopefully the relationships that I'll continue to have, and certainly Dan being still in the league and in the industry will be a great resource, and couldn't be more appreciative for his mentorship in my career, let alone for this opportunity at Clemson. So just a little bit of some look back and maybe a little story. It's just important to me and dear to my heart. I've shared with a couple of our staff, and important as I cast a vision and balance the newness and the need to continue to grow Clemson and grow our brand in an incredibly changing environment and industry, with still keeping Clemson. And that means people, and a lot of those I ticked off, at least for this role. So that blend has been really cool, and the emotions of that for me over the past month. So from today's standpoint, certainly has been a big point for me looking to today. And yeah, I've been on the job for about a month or so now, and again, I've been here at Clemson for plenty, but really today's been a big inflection point. Yeah, Board of Trustees meeting, signing day, sure, but obviously we've had a lot of things come out today with staff, and some announcements that we've been working towards and wanting to look at this day, this moment to let those out, so to speak, and really begin to chart the path ahead. And so while there's been certainly work done, I really get excited to kind of be getting my feet about me, so to speak. I've moved a couple things, a couple folders and a laptop, and that's about it to the corner office. So I'm kind of still working out of both a little bit, but really an inflection point for me, at least mentally, as I chart through initiatives and things and moving the department forward. So look forward to kind of the next chapter here a little bit. if they're even just in months at a time, and what today's meant for that from a news standpoint, and then again charting the path ahead. So really excited for obviously all the actions out of the trustee meeting with the personnel changes and affirmations that Coach talked about from a football standpoint. Continuing to invest in football is obviously a non-negotiable, and I'm excited to have those actions today from a personnel standpoint for football. Jackie Simpson-Keir, volleyball coach, the extension for her, and excited for her to have a full off season. She was moved from assistant coach to the head coach role in a short off season coming after COVID. So for her to have a full off season and full seasons ahead, I'm excited for Jackie, and then obviously Mike Noonan, and that was about the easiest contract approval I think that I've ever been a part of with the board, coming off of Natty and just how Mike's gone about it and where he has the program. So excited certainly for our group of head coaches. Obviously there's been a lot of announcements from our women's sports initiative. Today is National Girls and Women's Sports Day. So we've strategically obviously let loose our Power Leadership Academy group, which is specifically designed for our leadership group for our women's sports and student athletes. Obviously you saw end of last week and was affirmed today our gymnastics and lacrosse facilities that will be beginning to work through the construction process up by the rowing facility, and also some use for the rowing student athletes up there from a training complex standpoint. So a lot of focus there from our women's sports, and really something I think of with Clemson, just the Olympic sport background and the need to continue to invest and grow our business with football investment, but then certainly how we offer 19 going on 21 sports is just really compelling and part of my charge from a department standpoint. So a lot of notes there. I'm sure there's a lot of questions. The last thing I'll just highlight, and I know we'll have more to come over the coming weeks and months, but Clemson Plus, the announcement of our over-the-top, our streaming service that'll launch on February 15th. We're really excited about what that product is and the business model with it and how that's included with IPTAY membership. It's very different. A lot of these that you'll see within college athletics or others, right? It's subscription-based. It's a monthly charge. We've gone about the economics of it very differently in order to continue to promote and have it collected with IPTAY and grow our IPTAY base and membership. So a lot to talk on, I know, on a lot of those topics and others, but I don't know if that's a Swinney-esque elongated opening statement or if anybody's got a stopwatch, but certainly wanted just to cover a little bit of look back in my first kind of moment here in front of you guys, and excited for it.
Graham, when you first took over, you talked about wanting to help athletes navigate the NIL and the changing landscape in college athletics. For your department, what does that look like? What does that entail?
Great question. Gosh, right, and it seemingly changes by the day. Each day there's seemingly a new article or initiative that a competitor of ours is doing. Now, certainly, I have to operate lawfully within our state laws and certainly within an NCAA standpoint, and excited for the elements from a protection of a student athlete standpoint. Obviously, South Carolina law, all of them are a little different, and so there's a lot of good protections for our student athletes, South Carolina student athletes, in ours. So the confines that exist that are continuing to evolve is where you start. Education for our head coaches and our coaches, as far as what our abilities may be in the future. There's a Wayne Gretzky analogy in there somewhere, maybe, as far as skating to where the puck's going kind of idea. And I don't know. I certainly don't claim to know where it's going, but I know it's being passed and it's going somewhere quick. Where it sits today is not a stagnant stop. So there's those elements from a education standpoint, head coaches, student athletes, and then maybe the last group that I think we need to be a little bit more aggressive on is our booster community from an education standpoint, and how we make sure that they know what the rules are. And we obviously are very active from just a compliance education, but those rules are changing, and so we want to make sure that they are aware and educated on the do's and don'ts and how that would look for Clemson. So, listen, there are a lot of stools on that bar, or a lot of legs on that bar stool of NIL. And it's still being built, and so as we continue to try to be aggressive with it for Clemson, as part of the mentality.
Graham, so your wide-ranging impact was deemed to be pretty invaluable. That's pretty much the reason you got the gig, according to the board and everybody else. So who's the new Graham Neff under you, or is that more than one person?
Great question. Thanks, Gene. Working on it. So we will. I'm excited for our staff. And listen, we have a senior staff of about 13. I think I've been here and been part of the recruitment or the hire, or certainly just a peer colleague for, I think, 10 of the 13. So I get really excited just to continue to join that room and table, albeit maybe in a little bit of a different chair. And so want to continue to grow our staff and continue to to retrench a little bit, but then add horsepower to the team, so to speak. So do anticipate to add some staff, various levels, and yeah, there's been some moments where it certainly felt like, not that I'm doing two jobs, because again, we've certainly had some delegation, but there is an empty, dark office with my old files in it that I do want to make sure that we're retooling in that regard. But given the staff we have, that's want to move expeditiously, but not urgent, and so have some time here over the spring as we get into it and sit with staff and see what fits best internally and externally.
Graham, the biggest hire your predecessor made was Monty Lee. I know you had a bad break there in 2020. They're having a great season until COVID. But what have your talks been like with him? How much urgency is there for him to have some postseason success this year?
Yeah, thanks, Trevor. Obviously, we love baseball here. I grew up in Atlanta. In the 90s, baseball was my first love. Pro baseball, Atlanta Braves, of course. But I love baseball personally. It's in my bones, and the success for baseball here at Clemson is really important. I know Monty had some time with a lot of you all earlier in the week. Monty and I talk a lot. We live very closely to each other, and so just the ongoing dialogue that we've always had, just from the baseball program, and the roster and scholarships. We talk a lot about scholarships right here and how we can invest and provide those resources. So, it doesn't feel, quite honestly, like a big change of expectation setting or, hey, I need to really roll my sleeves up with baseball. Like Monty and I's relationship, I was certainly with Dan and Kyle Young as we recruited and hired Monty. But I know he's excited, obviously, with the guys and with a lot of the returners and their accolades and Caden and Will if he gets healthy. So excited for them to get going. So the dialogue that's existed with Monty, he and I will continue, and certainly as we get into wanting to have a really good year, it'll be important.
Graham, how does it feel to be the ultimate overseer of a football program that once again won 10 games but widely perceived to have had a, quote, down year?
Yeah, Scott, thanks. In getting to 10 wins for 11th straight year, really cool. It's been an awesome, again, month, 6 weeks for me and coach. And again, we had off season, there's always transition, right? And particularly this time of year with football staff, recruiting, et cetera, what the off-season needs are. So he and I have always been engaged in that type of dialogue. And with Dan, it's just been a little bit of a different tact and tenor, probably a little bit more frequent this off-season than maybe years past, just given the role change. But I couldn't be more excited. And I've certainly been tried. I've had some external exposure here, just to try to help continue to push the reality of the positive energy and mojo, what have you, out of this building. And it's one thing for coach to say it or assistant coaches, but I view it my role to further that, because it's a reality. It's not a cover. A lot of staff transition. It's a different chapter a little bit from a staff standpoint, and with having 3 losses for the first time in quite some time. So. With the returner, certainly the roster, with how coach has his vision for the staff on field and off, the reality of that really good excitement and momentum. Schedule was just announced, and obviously getting excited for that. So, overseer of the program, gosh, that's a funny word, Scott. I just feel like just an important partner with coach in helping to provide him resources and thoughts and receive his thoughts as we are teammates in it, for sure.
Graham, can you comment a little more on the Clemson Plus, how that kind of came about, and just why you feel like now is a good time for that?
So February, absolutely. Again, we'll have a lot more pub coming out with it. February 15th is the launch date, and that's strategic because that's the first 50% deadline for IPTAY donations. And again, how we're tying in the business model of Clemson Plus. We're not aware of anybody else in the country collegiately that's doing it this way. And there's been a couple that have been announced, so we're not maybe the first mover, but we're a very, very early mover in this tech, this platform. But we do know there's a lot of other schools that may be working on it as well. And a lot of them are, all of them that we're aware of are all subscription-based, $4.99 a month, $5.99 a month, and now you have an immediate revenue stream with it. The business model for us is more of the long ball. So IPTAY membership, all current IPTAY members, 29,000 of them, including Collegiate Club and Block C, will have on February 15th access to Clemson Plus. So it's an added benefit to your current membership, let alone obviously the compelling nature for us to incent and grow membership. And so there is not the transactional immediate revenue stream with it. We're playing the long ball from a IPTAY membership lifetime of giving type concept. Let alone we'll be able to tastefully advertise within it with our in-house multimedia sales team and have a couple revenue streams with it, but really it's just a product to be able to tell our story better. There's going to be great vault and archival games that we probably all put on. I know we do on Thanksgiving afternoon or things like that to watch the Ohio State Orange Bowl game in 13, those type of things. So there'll be great content that we have. Certainly we've continued to staff up and add more content to it, let alone just the other content or assets with it, with archival games, podcasts, etc.
Brad Brownell, for good or bad, is a lightning rod around here. Your predecessor got a lot of emails about him. We've talked before about what he has brought to the program. How do you handle this with him kind of going forward? What is your plan long term for that?
Yeah, thanks, David. And I think you all may know certainly how close Brad and I work together professionally and how we handle our staffing assignments, and we have sports supervisions. And so, basketball and football were really the two that I worked most closely with compared to all of our sports. And so I'm similar to the Monty conversation with baseball. I feel very in the weeds with Brad as a teammate and as our head coach, and certainly with the opportunities and successes of our basketball team. So, listen, we just flipped into February. Obviously, got a big game tonight. I know Brad is juiced and feels healthy coming off a little bit of the bye weekend, and I just get really excited for how he goes about it. Of course, and we all know how he leads the men in the locker room, culture, how he's engaged former players. Obviously, academics and compliance, particularly in men's basketball, right, is something that is a non-negotiable at Clemson as far as play by the rules, do it the right way. And when you have a head coach like Brad in a sport like college basketball, and what that means is just a huge comfort and a huge value, quite frankly. So all of those things off the field, Brad is off the court, Brad is spades, and get excited about where he has the roster and what's left for the season. That's where it's at.
Got time for one more.
Graham, you said on NIL, you said you want to still be aggressive, that's part of the mentality. How is that possible at present? And if so, what does that look like? Like how?
Yeah, thanks, Larry. You're right. And again, the moving puck analogy is kind of where I default to. Listen, there are things I think that within our state law and within the NCAA guidelines or legislation that we can do a little bit more aggressively. And that's not to say we haven't. Maybe the best way to phrase it, and this is not a Clemson isolated issue, it's more of an industry issue, I'd say, is this been a very passive type topic. Started in July 1st, and it's market driven, and student athletes are able to go build their brand and maybe solicit deals and dollars and activate that on their own, so to speak, from a marketplace standpoint. So athletically, again, Clemson and I think within the industry, we've been rather passive in, hey, we're going to educate you and we're going to help you build your brand. We have great social and digital team, and we're going to make sure you play by the rules, but then go do. And so I think now you overlay the competitive world and industry that we live in, there's been more need and calling within the industry. And again, I think here at Clemson, for us to be more active and aggressive, whatever thesaurus word we want to get out, for our support in programs and community engagement and internal engagement with our kids. So I think, again, just that maybe passive to active type presence, and what that exactly means we're working on, but that's kind of maybe the mindset that try to articulate. And again, I think that's an industry take, let alone at Clemson, and how we can become more aggressive, active within NIL the right way.
All right, thank you guys very much.
Thank you all very much.